Greetings, everybody. This is Winnie, Wriggle, and welcome back to our Direwolf20 1.16 Modpack playthrough. I think we're in episode 4 today, and today we're going to make some better tools, make some delicious sandwiches, and get a little grinding done. That's right. Yeah, that's ores and organics for grinding. But first, I got a great comment from a user, Elysium, about suggesting that we replace our fences that we used in our suspended treehouse build here with some vanilla chains. And I really like that idea. So let's do that first. So vanilla chains are a very easy recipe. It's iron nuggets and iron ingots. And if we make 9 of them, we can replace the fence posts with the chains. I really like that. I think that's a great idea. That solves the whole making this whole build too bulky problem. Let me run around and replace the other 6 fence posts with the new chains, and we'll be right back to take a look. Okay, there it is with chains instead of fence posts. I really like this because the chains don't connect to the blocks on the side, so we don't get that extra bulkiness. Look at that. It looks like that looks very good. I'll also replace the ones up top, but right now we have other things to do. Here is our project box. So I promised tools, sandwiches, and grinding. Let's start with sandwiches. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of eating pork chops. And there is a wonderful mod in here called Culinary Constructs that lets us make our own custom sandwiches. The only block in here in Culinary Constructs is a culinary station. Very easy to make. Again, the crafting table and the slab in a crafting area. And there we have our culinary station. What I'm going to do is go ahead and use up some of the space in our second floor, which is mostly empty, to make a kitchen. So here's how this works. You put bread in the first slot, and then you put whatever combination of food ingredients you want in the next slot. So for example, we can put steak, potatoes, carrots, apples, and cooked cod. And we end up with a potato, cooked cod, carrot, steak, and apple sandwich. Delicious. You can also name your delicious creation. And now they're called yummy sandwiches. And we can make, let's just make 15 to start. Trust me when I tell you that the sandwiches made by this have incredible amounts of nutrition and saturation. You could also add strange things like poisonous potatoes and puffer fish and raw things. I highly recommend that you cook anything before you put it in the sandwich. Those raw foods may give you adverse effects, so be on the lookout for that. Now that we have our magic culinary station and can craft delicious sandwiches all the time, I do want to kind of decorate this area a little bit so that it looks a little bit more like a kitchen. So let's use our barrels as countertops. Barrels make for great cabinets. Another crafting table I think is important in a kitchen, as well as matching our culinary station. And then I think let's use this last little space for a super simple chair and table combo. Oh, maybe let's turn this like that. There we go. Now we have a lovely place with a gorgeous view of the local mountains to enjoy our sandwiches. Next up, let's make some better tools. So the mod we're going to take a look at for improving our tool creation is Tetra. And there are some simple things we need to begin with. First, we need a workbench, which we can create by right-clicking a crafting table with a hammer. And then, of course, we need a hammer. I think I'm going to start with a granite hammer since we already have access to that. So we'll take some sticks, granite, slabs, iron nuggets, and a crafting table. We need the slab and iron nuggets to make a rack. We'll be able to hang our hammer on the rack so that we don't have to carry it around in our inventory. Eventually we'll have an expanded workshop, but I think the best place for our Tetra tool making is up here with our resources. So I'm just going to steal a couple of spaces right here. Let's make a tool rack first to hang above this. Ta-da! Ooh, within reach. And then we need to make a hammer. There's our granite hammer. And if we right click the crafting table, ta-da! Now we have a Tetra workbench. Crafting the workbench gives us the holosphere, which is Tetra's user manual. So if we right click on here, this is a beautiful design. It's just organized. Why do I hear things? Really, guys? I don't have time for you. Yeah, really? I didn't expect a raid. Why are you in my house? Get out the house. Get out the house. Oh, good. Nothing like a little surprise patrol to make your Minecraft life exciting. Okay, let's get back to making some better tools. Where were we? Making tools. Also, I've been injured, so it's time to eat one of our beautiful sandwiches. Look at that saturation. Nice. Okay, when we craft the Tetra workbench, we get a holosphere. This is the user manual for Tetra. It gives us the list of parts that make up each component. So for example, if we go into blades, you have the blade and the hilt, of course, but you also have a pommel, a guard, and a fuller you can add. And depending on the kind of material that you use for each piece of a weapon or a tool, it changes the statistics for that tool. The most useful piece of information in the user manual is actually the description of materials and what they give you. So Dura is durability, whether or not it's hard. So we're talking about Terra Steel, there's bronze, there's silver. I don't know what all of these mean. Dens, mod, Tef, magic. Magic must be integrity is important. You need a tool with a higher level of integrity sometimes to upgrade to the next level of material. One of the easiest ways to start learning about how Tetra affects your tools is to begin with the vanilla tool. So for example, let's take a plain stone axe. And you can see once we put the axe in the crafting table, it shows us what the pieces of that axe are. The handle, which right now is flimsy, it's made of wood. The head, which is left, and the head that is right. So there's a butt of the axe, so it's the backside, and then the front, which is the blade. You can also add a binding and a socket. So depending on the kind of material you use, the statistics for the tool will change. So let's go grab a bunch of possible materials. Things like bones and feathers and string. Maybe even leather. And then some of our ores. So iron, of course, gold. I have a couple of diamonds, a couple of emeralds. Here's some osmium. I don't know if aquamarine. We'll see if that works. We'll see if Certus quartz works. Here's copper. Well, let's use the immersive engineering copper. And that's good for now. Okay, so having all those materials in our inventory, if we select a particular part, for example, the axe head, you'll notice that in the inventory below, suddenly some of the items become highlighted. That means you can use these in the crafting for this particular piece. So you could potentially make an osmium axe head. However, you'll see this note that says this action requires a tier 4 hammer. So the level of your hammer dictates the kind of material that you can use to do your crafting. So we're not able to make anything out of osmium yet. Let's try iron. Yes, we could change the stone axe head to iron because we have a tier 2 hammer in our inventory. You can also put your hammers on the tool rack that we made above the workbench, and it turns it into a multi-block. So if I go back in here and go to our axe head and use iron as the potential material, you can see we can still craft it because there is a tier 2 hammer available. There are already some really excellent overviews of the Tetra mod and what materials do to impact the tool as you're creating them. In fact, Direwolf's own Let's Play goes through this in a lot of detail. So I'm going to upgrade this axe with a couple of things and we'll see where we end up. Stone axe head to iron, yes. And it looks like it consumed 2 pieces of iron to do that. What about our handle? If we wrap the handle, and look now, different materials are available. We can wrap it with string. That increases our speed by a little bit, our durability not by much, and our damage by almost a full point. But the increase in speed is nice, so let's go ahead and do that. So we've wrapped the handle. We can add a socket. So we'll you can socket a gem into the tool. So if we put a diamond, that does great things for the durability, the damage, and the stability. What do we get with an emerald? Not as much good stuff. Mostly increasing the chance to critically hit. Ah, that's cool. Okay, so socketing a diamond in here seems like the best option in terms of raising the durability without affecting the speed. So let's add a diamond. So now we have a diamond socket in our axe. I think that's pretty good for now. We have a durability of 564. It does 10 damage. We haven't negatively impacted the speed. So I think our upgraded Tetra-based iron axe is good to go. I'm very excited to use this thing. And it looks pretty neat with the wrapped handle and the diamond socket. I like it. Let's use our axe to cut down our mineral log tree here. And one of the things I want to point out is as you use the tool from Tetra, you'll see on the very bottom of that first list, we have the iron axe, and it's what it's built of: iron axe, stone butt, flimsy handle with a diamond in the socket. But there's another important statistic, and that is hone. And it says 5 out of 420. So the more you use a particular tool, the more you hone it. Once you've maxed out the hone, once you get to 420 uses, basically, you can apply that hone to increase a particular characteristic of the tool. So for example, you could hone the efficiency or hone the speed of the tool. We'll want to pay attention when that gets closer and make sure we use that hone once it's available to add to the tool. Think of this as the tool leveling up. Cutting down that mineral tree was a great segue into the next part of what I want to get into today, and that is ore doubling and resource doubling. And we're going to do that very simply without power by using 2 mods: the quartz grindstone from Applied Energistics and 2 key blocks from Integrated Dynamics. They are the drying basin and the squeezer. So let's grab the materials that we'll need to create both of those blocks: the wooden crank and then the 2 blocks from Integrated Dynamics. The quartz grindstone from Applied Energistics is a great early game way to ore double. So if we look at all the possible recipes, you can see that if you put osmium ore in here, you get 2 osmium dust. The same is true for copper, iron, some of the nether ores, silver. You'll also get flour from wheat, which we can use in a furnace to make a piece of bread, which greatly stretches out our wheat resource. We can ore double tin, ore double lead dust, get gold dust, make bones into 4 bone meal instead of 3. And of course, also create iron dust. And dust will be important when we need to make blends like Invar blend, which we'll use in thermal expansion. So let's make a quartz grindstone. And I've already made the wooden crank for it. It's very cheap. It's just a bunch of sticks. And then let's also, while we're here, make the 2 blocks from integrated dynamics that we want to use. So if we take a look at the squeezer recipes, this is one of my favorite early game blocks because it's not that expensive. You can get coal dust, you can double some ores, but the primary use I have for it is making your organics go much, much further. So you can get up to 6 green dye from a cactus. Look at that 8 red dye from a regular rose bush. You can take a wet sponge and turn it into a dry sponge. And then, of course, for the mod itself, you can take mineral logs and get mineral resin, which is used to craft blocks of crystallized mineral, which are used in the crafting recipes for a lot of the other blocks in this mod. Here we can also get string from wool, white dye from bones, 100% chance for an extra blaze powder from a blaze rod, which is a great early game way of making those blaze rods stretch further. So let's craft our squeezer, which is just an iron block, an iron ingot, a couple of sticks, and a couple of pieces of wood, and the drying basin that you'll need to go with it, which is black dye, iron ingots, and some logs. This is one of my favorite crafting mechanisms in a mod. You'll see that on the bottom of the squeezer are little channels that point to the left and right if you set it down that way. And the way this works, we're going to use a redstone signal. And if we plop in a block of the mineral wood, we can jump up and down on the squeezer. Gotta get right in the middle of the block. And you'll see it squeezes the liquid mineral out of the log, and then to reset it you just apply a redstone signal, and I typically just use a button to do that. And then we can retrieve this beautiful block of crystallized mineral from the squeezer. I love that mechanic. It's so cool. Now let's take a look at the quartz grindstone. We just set it down, stick the handle on top of it, load it with the material that we want to grind, in this case copper ore, because we're going to need a lot of it in the thermal series as well as some other mods. And then you just simply hold down right click and spin the handle. And there it stopped, so we know that it's done. And we got 9 copper dust out of the 5 copper ore, which is great. So the quartz grindstone from Applied Energistics is a great early game way to almost 100% ore double. Listen, Plague Doctor Guy, I didn't invite you into my kitchen. Ugh. What is up with them running away or making themselves invisible every time I want to talk to one? Sheesh. You're back. What are your trades? Bones, emerald, cooked rat, bundle of sweet-smelling herbs, golden rat skull. What do we even use that for? Oh, you make a gilded rat flute with it? Corrupted rat skull? Okay, use it in recipes. Banner pattern, rat sack. Not interested in anything today. Thank you very much, sir. Where were we? Oh, yes. Some of y'all may have noticed that I have begun collecting our kind of essential farming type animals, including sheep and cows for now, because we'll need to keep our sandwich supply up. Also, while I was out resource gathering for clay in our local river, I came across something interesting that I thought you might like to explore with me. So we were swimming along the bottom of our river, and I saw that there was what looked like a cave. And I came down here further and thought, oh, a mine shaft. Except it wasn't a mine shaft. It's one of these little buildings. Isn't that crazy? It's just sitting down here under the ground. I hope these clay pots, this is from EXT Caves. I hope these are a little more exciting than the potatoes from our last one, but let's see. Bones. Carrots. Again with the super not exciting loot. Oh well. I think that's all we have time for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like. If you'd like to keep up with what's going on the channel, don't hesitate to subscribe. And remember, as always, you are the shiny stuff that awesome is made of. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.